going to speak for about 40, 45 minutes, and then we're going to have dinner, okay? Anyway, I have a lot of things to talk about, and there's a very good chance, because I'm going to cover so much information, that I'm going to ask you to hold questions to the end, because at the end, I'll probably have covered enough information that you won't have to ask any questions. If, when we're done, you have questions, I'm going to ask you to do this. Hold the questions till after dinner. And if it's a question that's really important to you, we can go over in another room or over in the corner somewhere and talk about it in private, okay? These are things I don't want to share with the whole crowd. If you've got questions of that nature, we should keep that private just between us. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
That what you're thinking? All right. So at the very end, at the very end of this presentation, I'm going to, discuss a lot of options. So we're going to start talking about the problems, and then from the problems, we're going to go to our challenges and the way that we get these things resolved. So, I have a question. What's that?
Until the end.
You know what I used to tell my patients when they goof with me at the office? I'd say, the rule is you should never screw the chiropractor until after he gets done working on your head. Because I can make a mistake on purpose if you want. How many people here, as we get older, would like to prevent getting fat, sick, tired, and depressed?
What?
Fat, sick, tired, and depressed.
Who wants to prevent this? Okay.
I know I saw that.
Does anybody here think we're in a healthcare crisis? All right. I can tell you we really are. The Affordable Care Act was supposed to save us all from this, but it's not going to work because the entire system is flawed. I'm going to go into that in a second. Can I talk louder?
Yes, please.
You know me, I can talk louder.
Thank you.
You want to get closer? All right. Did you hear my first question? Who wants to
Right.
fancy care to get priced? All right. Well, let's talk about this healthcare crisis we're in. First of all, it's not really a healthcare crisis; it's a sick care crisis. When you go see the doctor, when you get sick, right? How often do we go to the doctor and say, "Teach me how to be healthy"? He says, "Well, how do you feel now?" "Well, I feel fine." "Well, then what are you doing here?" Okay? And it's all because this is a sick care crisis intervention, and this is why medicine is so expensive in this country, because everyone waits till they're in crisis before they do anything, and I'm going to explain in a few minutes why that is too. Can anybody tell me what's causing these problems? What's causing all the illnesses in this country right now? Anybody got any ideas?
Processed food.
Processed food. Processed food causes weight problems.
Pollution.
Pollution is really good. Environment.
Stress, yeah.
Stress is one of the big ones. Now, there's different kinds of stresses, and we're going to go over that in a few minutes. Good call on that one. I'm not going to be mad at you anymore. All right. Well, that's exactly right. Anyway, the reason I do these talks is because I want people to know that I want you to know the truth about what's going on. All right. What you're going to hear tonight is not something you're going to hear normally. And as you hear what I'm saying, you're going to go, boy, that's really common sense. Why didn't I think about this? Okay? That's why I'm here, and that's why we're all together. Can I assume that a certain percentage of people in this room are probably already have some health care challenges, and they're either here to hear what I've got to say, or to maybe even be interested in getting their problem resolved? Anybody here like that? All right. I have a question. Another question. I'm giving this speech. Why am I asking questions? Is knowledge power?
Yes.
No, it's not. Knowledge is wisdom. But unless you act on that knowledge, it's not power, because you only have the power when you act on the knowledge. Okay, so it's really good to know a lot of stuff, but unless you're doing something with it, knowledge is not power. So there's a big connection between those two, and I want you to guys know the difference. Oh, I get this slide. My office, Northern Illinois Natural Healthcare, which has been carrying chiropractic offices for almost 32 years, we now have a proven system that works. And I'm going to give you enough information tonight that you're going to be able to decide whether you're interested in this or not. And if you like this and it makes sense to you, good. If it doesn't, that's okay. You'll still get a nice dinner, and maybe you'll learn a few things that you can do to help yourself just a little bit anyway, okay? Question, by a show of hands, how many people would like to live out the balance of their lives not sick, fat, and depressed?
tired. You don't do it.
That's a good
Be here.
All right.
Don't raise your hand, you shouldn't be
The
here.
truth is, the vast majority of Americans are going to end up just like that in their senior years. The vast majority. And the really bad part about that is we lose our independence. When you don't have your health, you don't really have much of anything else, and you lose your independence. Okay? And you know what that means? It means you've got to depend on other people to take care of you. And who needs it? You know, if you're taking good care of yourself, you don't need that. At least you're till about 100, 110. You know? All right. Anyway, that's the downside. Is the thought of somebody else having to comb my hair every day just really The first thing is they confused because I hand them a squeegee. Yeah. All right. Hey, I made that one up right off the top of my head. These can stop now. All right. So the truth is, if you don't have the knowledge, you can't act on these things. And that's what we're going to be telling you. First, we're going to give you the knowledge, then I'm going to give you an opportunity to act. Tonight, you're going to learn about stress, hormones, health, how it affects your belly fat, how it affects your life, your weight, and how to live your life vitally. And you're late.
Sorry. Yes, we got lost. Sorry.
Your seat's right there.
Yeah, I was heading there, but.
Not sure, I think it might be.
You're gonna go that way.
Yeah, we should have somebody outside.
Don't be somebody.
25 demerits.
Yeah, okay.
All right. I lost my place. All right, good. Ooh, another slide. I'm so excited. How many people here just don't feel right? You know when I had that experience? I was 40 years old. It was like I turned 40 and God flipped the switch on me and said, "You're going to be sick now." All right. I was 40. I'm 62 now. The way I felt at 40, I didn't think I was going to make 62. And I ignored it for a very long time until I got myself straightened out, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that shortly. How many people realize that they have a purpose in this life? Anybody feel you got a purpose in this life? This is my purpose now. 2 years ago, I was a single dad. I raised 2 little boys by myself for 10 years. That was my purpose in life then. All right? My purpose in life now is to do this and get the word out, because this makes so much more sense and is so much more effective than what we're getting in the allopathic healthcare system. How do you fulfill your purposes in life if you don't have your health? You can't. All right? Because one of the things you have to have when you have a purpose in life is you got to have energy. And a lot of people that have metabolic disorders have no energy. They're tired walking dead all day long. They go to bed at night, they don't sleep worth a damn. They might sleep and then they wake up and they're still tired. And then during the day they want to take naps and everything else, they just don't feel good. And that's how a lot of this starts with people, they just don't feel right. So, whether you don't feel right, or you've got a disorder that's already been given a name, and let me address a few of those right now. Type 2 diabetes, it's on the rise like crazy. Crohn's disease, it's on the rise like crazy. Irritable bowel syndrome, I see these all the time. Rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, lupus, all these, MS. What else do I want to mention about that? Heart disease. All right. These are all chronic diseases, and the way they're being treated by medicine is with pharmaceuticals and surgical. All right. There are ways of reversing these metabolic disorders, and I'm going to go over these with you, and I'm going to show you how these things can be resolved, reversed, and brought up, and bring a person's health back. All right. Now, I want you to understand something about me and something about you. I do not heal patients. Okay, I don't cure your symptoms. I don't cure your disease. I make you healthy again so your body takes care of itself. When you got a cold and you've got a nice strong immune system, what happens? Your body's immune system takes care of the cold, right? You're not going to the doctor to get cured unless you've got a strep, then he give you an antibiotic and kill that bug off. But health is all about the entire body. And if that entire body isn't functioning properly, your body cannot beat these other things off. It's as simple as that. But I do help people regain their health by helping them to lose weight, reverse their diabetes, really even reverse cases of atrial fibrillation. all because of diet and lifestyle changes. It is absolutely possible. That's another condition I'm seeing all the time now is AFib. Anybody know what AFib is? Okay. It's prevalent as all get out. Guess why? Because it's people's lifestyles and the foods that this country is allowing us to eat. All right. So, I'm not a conventional medical doctor. Where do I want to be a conventional medical doctor? There's too many of them now. All right. My doctorate's in chiropractic, and I've been practicing chiropractic for a very long time. I had hair when I started. But my postgraduate study has been in functional medicine. Anybody heard of this before? Functional medicine is a treatment of chronic medical conditions without the use of drugs. It works wonderfully. I've also been working on studying functional neurology. Functional neurology is a treatment of chronic neurologic conditions without the use of drugs, and as well as nutrition. The combination of nutrition, functional medicine, and functional neurology has had an extremely high success rate in my office for a variety of disorders. For example, in fibromyalgia is a disorder where a patient has a lot of thyroid problems. Can you hear me okay? You can't? You sit over here. Anybody else having trouble hearing me? Maybe it's the hair over your ears. We're doing a video. I'll send you a video on this. All right. Next time I'll have a microphone and speakers and a jazz band. Maybe I'll sing some Lyle Lovett. We were joking about that. Say you got some problems with hormones. All right. You ever see the advertisements on TV now? The hormone advertisements are just slamming. You know, if a man ain't what he used to be, you know, they got pills, potions, and lotions to bring his energy back and to bring his sexuality back and bring this back and that back and everything else. It doesn't work. I know.
I have a question.
This is not before I knew anything about functional.
I have a question.
No, wait, I want to kill you. Remember what I said about the adjustment of the neck?
Yeah, all right.
It doesn't work, and I'm going to tell you why. Because everybody has to have testosterone in their body. Women have to have testosterone, and men have a lot more. Women have a lot more estrogen, men need some estrogen. But the problem is, as you get your hormones out of balance for diet and lifestyle reasons, you start producing too much estrogen and not enough testosterone, and then everything starts going bad. At the age of 40 on, a man loses about 1% of his testosterone per year, as well as about 1% of his muscle mass. So what ends up happening with these guys is they get older and older and older, and now they gain weight just by looking at the buffet, not just eating it. That's how I felt. It would take me a whole month to lose 3 or 4 pounds, and in one weekend of a few beers and da-da-da-da-da, I gained it all back. And I went for several years, losing 3 to 4 pounds over a month and gaining it all back over one bad weekend. All right? Now, occasionally I still cheat, and I might have that weekend where I gain 3 or 4 pounds, and then I have it lost by Wednesday. So these things I'm going to talk to you about makes that much of a difference. It makes that much of a difference. But guess what? I got some of my muscle mass back. I was 40, then I was 45, then I was 50, and I was running a lot. I ran a lot. Every morning, 6 a.m., I'm running. And it wasn't working.
Sorry. Dennis was
Trying to see. All right. Christy, pardon me. Nobody else comes in, okay? That's it. All right. Where was I?
You were running.
You're running.
I was running. Thank you very much. Scared, probably. And I wasn't losing any weight at all. I could breathe really good, but I wasn't losing any weight at all. As long as I ran, there were times I was running 25, 30 miles a week. And I lost a little weight, but not much, and I still had all my health issues. Anyway, as I'm running, I started getting these weird sensations in my feet. And what's going on with my feet? And I felt like my socks were bunching up in my gym shoe. So I find a stump or something to sit on, I take my shoe off, and my socks were just fine. I pulled them tight anyway, put my shoes back on, I start running, and guess what? The bunching sensation was there. And that was the beginning of peripheral neuropathy. Anybody heard of peripheral neuropathy?
Yeah.
It's a complication from type 2 diabetes, actually type 1 diabetes as well. And it's a complication from when people have had chemotherapeutics treatment to cancer. These are conditions that can be reversed. I know this personally because I've done it. All right, so we can make that changes in your lifestyle and your diet. These conditions can be turned around. However, just because I'm saying that it can be done, it doesn't mean this is for everybody. And I'll tell you why. Some people are not prepared yet to take the responsibility on the things I would ask them to do. So if you ever decide to do any of this kind of work with me, you need to take responsibility. We all taught our kids to be responsible, right? How many people here have kids? All right. Anybody say to the kids, do what you want, I don't care?
No.
So why is it that I understand that all these people taught their kids to be responsible, but they don't want to take responsibility for themselves? Like, I'm still looking for the answers to this, okay? Now, this is why we have a healthcare crisis. Because diets and lifestyles have changed, especially the diets. We've become more sedentary. We got computers, we got monitors, we got cell phones, we got TVs with 500 stations. Used to be, you know, what did we have? 2, 5, 7, 9, 11, and then UHF came as channel 32. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, we're up at 12 o'clock.
Between the snow on my TV and channel 32, I could see occasional baseballs going through the field when I was watching the Sox games. You know? But that's now what happens is, if there's nothing on TV, you just keep going until you find something, because there's 500 stations, all right? Used to be, we turned the damn thing off and did something else, and there's an issue. So, let me ask you a question. Are there more diabetics now than ever?
Yes.
Absolutely. Is there more heart disease than ever?
Yes.
Absolutely. Cancers? Yes. Here's one that really is close to my heart, because this just scares me out. What about autism? Autism used to be like 1 in 1,000 children, now it's like 1 in 80. Where is that coming from? All right? There's something going on in our society, and that's the problem. So as we're advancing as a civilization, we're breaking down and getting sicker. We should be doing better. Now, a complicating factor here is because of the inroads that medicine has made with crisis intervention and emergency medicine, because they're the best at it. Keeping people living longer because they've got ways of keeping people living longer. Coronary artery bypasses and insulin pumps and all these technologies. But that's crisis intervention. What if we got healthy so we didn't need that stuff in the first place? This is why there is longevity, but as a lot of people are living longer, these conditions are taking hold of us more so as well. It doesn't need to be. You know, according to the genetics, the human being is supposed to live somewhere between 100 and 130 years. You know, it gets in the way of diet and lifestyle. And you know, it's just the way it is. When we were kids too, we ate organic, all our food was organic. There wasn't such thing as genetically modified. Everything we ate, now people go, oh, organic, that's a bunch of crap. You know, we all grew up on that. The foods we're getting now are not like the foods we had when we were kids. The stuff we're having now is not organic, lots of chemicals, lots of pesticides. So, can anybody tell me what the point is advancing this system that doesn't work? It's broken, okay? Now, where do medical doctors come in with this? How does medicine fit? Medicine fits because they are the very best at crisis and emergency intervention. My life personally has been saved twice by medicine, okay? Nothing that I had a heart attack or anything like that, but I had an appendix go bad a long time ago, and my appendix had died inside me. It had obviously died a long time ago, and the gangrene went from my appendix into my intestines, and my intestines were becoming gangrene. People used to die from things like that. I'm still here to give the medical doctors a bad rap. Can you believe that? Turn But for chronic degenerative conditions, medicine is just horrible. There's nothing you can do worse. And let me tell you why. Should I tell you why? I'll tell you why. Oh, that's just my best friend in the whole world.
Just take a pill.
Coming in late, they got their phones ringing. I should have said something about that in the first place. There's so much going on. Where was I?
You're talking about your intestines with the gangrene.
No, I just finished that. I was talking about why medicine's an abysmal failure. Oh my God.
Chronic conditions.
Chronic conditions, all right. Damn, Marge, you really got me good.
Sorry. That's all right.
Oh,
What was it?
Pills.
that's not the train of thought I had. Chronic condition, oh, okay. Here's the deal. If you've got a disorder and you go to the doctor, he runs labs, he examines you a little bit, but mostly, I'm hearing another phone. That's okay. Grandma. Okay. And, okay, you've got this, this, and this. So I want you to take this, this, and this drug, okay? And so the symptoms go away and we're all given a false sense of security. Isn't that nice? I feel great. About a year and a half ago, I had a man come to my office. He was my height. Now, I'm overweight right now at about 197 pounds. He outweighed me by 120 pounds, okay? And when I walked into the room to introduce myself, as an exam room, he gets up, introduces himself, we talk. He says, now before we start, I don't want to hear anything about changing my lifestyle. I like it just the way I am right now. And if you tell me to quit golf, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lose weight. I just want you to fix my back. And I said, well, sir, I'm beginning to think that maybe the problem with your back is your front. And he didn't like that, but he got a little red in the face. But then we went on, so I gave him a really good, thorough examination. It was hard. His heart didn't sound bad. His lungs sounded okay. The discs in his back on an X-ray showed a lot of degeneration because they can't adapt to holding that much weight. I said, you know, your blood pressure is 120 over 80. I'm amazed. He goes, yeah, I don't even have a blood pressure problem. I said, I'm totally amazed. So we get done. He said, you take any medication? He goes, yeah, I take 2 blood pressure medications. I said, wait a minute, I thought you didn't have a blood pressure problem. He goes, I don't. Once I take these 2 pills every day, I don't have a blood pressure problem. Right. So many people are buying into this false sense of security as long as I take this drug. Now, look, it's at the age of 75, 20 years ago, the average American took around 6 to 8 medications a day. Now they're running 12 to 14 because we're chasing our tails with symptoms and we're not getting to the root cause of the problem. We're in this big building right now and I see sprinklers. So there's probably smoke alarms too. If we were all sitting around here talking the way I am right now, and the smoke alarm went off and all this noise started, kind of like your phone. Anyway, what will we do? We got 2 choices. What is that noise making? It's making alarms telling us something's wrong, okay? Now, it's a symptom of the building, and the building is telling us there's smoke. Well, when there's smoke, there's fire. I have 2 choices. My choices are I can find the breaker box and turn the power off to that smoke alarm. Okay, that's treating the symptom. Or I can find the source of smoke and put it out while it's just smoldering. All right, that's getting to the cause. Unfortunately, in this country, what people are doing is they're turning off the smoke alarms and they end up burning down the building. They're losing their life because they get sick. Then the condition advances. And these chronic conditions that I'm talking about turn into other things later in life, which is also why I went into functional neurology. The number 1 condition that fibromyalgia turns into Alzheimer's. The medical approach is, oh, you get Alzheimer's, not to take this pill. All right? We're still treating symptoms, and these conditions continue to progress because they're not getting to the root cause of the problem. And that's what we are all about. This is the British Medical Journal, just written a few years ago. 85% of all medical procedures are scientifically unproven. Okay? I got something else that I'm talking about here. This is the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization states that 90% of all diseases proven that are not treatable with orthodox medical procedures. And the reason is 90% of all illnesses and diseases in this country are chronic. Medicine is great for crisis and emergency, but they're an abysmal failure for chronic conditions, which is 90% of all the disease in this world. There is a point now, I have a question. According to the World Health Organization, the top 100 developed countries, where do we stand? Number 47. We spend $6 per patient more per person in this country than any other country, and we're number 47. There's a problem here, okay? Our system is not doing so well. So that means while medicine has been highly effective for crisis and emergency, it has proven to be an abysmal failure, an incredibly expensive abysmal failure. Understand that most medical doctors, I know a bunch of them, really pretty brilliant, dedicated people. And like I said, I've had my life saved twice by these guys because of their dedication and their brilliance and my really great insurance at the time. Yeah. But you can't take anything away from them for that. But what they've been, or their entire system has been oriented towards this for so long, they can't break out of this thing. And the system is working against them as well, because if they don't treat everything as a crisis, they won't make any money. All right? Our office is totally dedicated to getting to the root cause of these problems, reversing chronic conditions, and this is what we do. All right? In my opinion, one of the greatest crimes against humanity has been health insurance industries. This is truly a crime against the people. And Medicare's right there with them. But it's all being run by the same kind of people. You know how insurance companies started? Insurance companies started, I believe it was in the 40s or late 30s, when new surgical interventions and technology were coming around, and they were actually saving people with surgeries in crisis situations. It used to be the doc went to the house, you know, and he treated the patient, and they gave him a chicken or a few bucks or whatever it was, and he left, and he had a decent life because he had lots of chickens, and these people got their health back. But as technology improved and surgeries came into play, they started getting expensive. You know, maybe like 50 bucks or 100 bucks, but in the 30s, that was a big chunk of change. So consequently, a group of medical doctors got together and said, we could come up with an insurance company, and people just pay a few bucks a month, and when that life-altering occurrence happens and they have to have surgeries, they'll have insurance to start up. The company was named Blue Cross Blue Shield. Their motivations were all strictly good. The doctors were able to continue on with their research on these surgical interventions, and people got better without losing their houses and everything else. So I really have a problem with insurance companies, and this is why, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. I'm going off on the subject I shouldn't have. It's become, insurance has now become an attempt to control the masses. They literally are becoming, who's the biggest stock investor in the health insurance industry? Pharmaceutical companies. Who's the biggest stock investor in the pharmaceutical companies? Health insurance industry. So the masses are being controlled, and these guys are making a bill. And yeah, the health insurance company got to pay a whole lot more for that surgery than letting Dr. Barthen fix the bad disc in the guy's back. Because when I'm done, it's $3,000, and when they're done, it's $65,000. Okay, but the health insurance company gets that back. You know, the stocks they get from being invested in pharmaceuticals. If Medicare drops reimbursements by say 20%, okay, the medical doctors have to do something to compensate. So they take their office visits, which maybe were 10 minutes, and now they're down to 7 minutes. All right? Now they got to see more people. But in order to see more people, they got to bring a physician's assistant in to do these things. And because they're not examining as much, they got to run more labs, which ends up making everybody spend a lot more money. All right? This puts the doctor in a goofy position because he's only going to get a few bucks for that 7 minutes. So then he orders labs and this, and then it turns out the patient's got a condition. Now they get to order more drugs. And you end up with sicker people, more drugs. Depending on the results, they'll prescribe surgeries. A gallbladder operation is now around $35,000 to $40,000. The surgeon will get about $2,000 for that. If that surgeon sits down with you and says, "You got a bad gallbladder, and I'm going to spend 30 minutes talking to you about your lifestyle, because if we change your lifestyle and we do a detox program on you, we can save that gallbladder because there's a reason why that thing is there. And I'm going to teach you how to change your diet and your lifestyle so you can save it." He can do that, and you know what he can bill for and get paid? 15 bucks. So as good as these doctors are, the system is working against them. They've got their own bills to pay. They got their own employees to take care of. And hell, if you're going to get paid $2,000 for a gallbladder, or spend 30 minutes with that patient and get 15 bucks, which way would you go? Kind of human nature, don't you think? All right, it's not always their fault. The system is forcing them to take the choices that are not always in the patient's best interest. So insurance and Medicare will pay for the surgery, but who's really paying for it? We are. Premiums. If it's Medicare, you're talking taxes. All right? So you may think you're getting it for free, but you're not. You're paying out in many, many other ways. So soon the game's going to be over, and this whole thing's going to start crumbling around them because it can only go on for so long. The Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, which was supposed to help and save everybody. You know what the average deductible is of the Affordable Care Act? $6,000. In 1893 when I opened my practice. In 1983, close. In 1983 when I opened my practice, the average deductible was about $150. And now it's about $6,000, okay? And so consequently, we're paying for it, guys. And it doesn't come free. And the insurance companies are still oriented towards crisis intervention just like medical doctors are. So if this is what the healthcare system, if this is the vein that they're going to stay in, we're going to be seeing lines of people, doctors are going to be dropping out. The research, a study done just a few years ago at AMA, 68% of all medical doctors said if they knew what they were going to be getting themselves into with all the paper and insurance and everything else, they'd have never become medical doctors. And people are going to get wind of this, and there are going to be less and less doctors for everybody. So they're going to be sitting in line waiting to see a doctor, and then the quality of the care is not going to be so high. And it's a real problem. So, if there's anything you get out of the speech tonight, I want you to get a mentality. And the mentality is, how do I get out of this mess? What do I got to do? How do I step out of this system and regain my health so I'm independent again? I can fulfill those purposes in my life, whether it's grandchildren or children or a career or a cause or whatever you want to do. If I get my health, I can live my life vitally. And the only time I ever want to see anything with that healthcare delivery system is if I'm ever in a crisis, because that's where they're ready. Okay? According to the Journal of the American Medical Association, they've made this scientific link between heart disease and cholesterol. All right? How many people here on statin, cholesterol, anti-cholesterol drugs? I'm surprised. Usually I see more than that. There has yet to be a study that actually says cholesterol is the problem. Right? You know what the problem is? Inflammation. Inflammation is the problem. Our bodies require cholesterol to operate. Our liver makes cholesterol because you need it. Hell, your brain's about 35% cholesterol. Almost every hormone in your body requires cholesterol to be made. And testosterone, which is very near and dear to my heart, requires cholesterol. So I'm eating it all the time. More eggs, please. Anyway, cholesterol is an important part of your body, and you need it every day. But when you take a statin drug, Crestor, Lipitor, Eeyore, well, that's it. Yeah. Eeyore, that's Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I got confused there. Senior moment. When you take those anti-cholesterol drugs, the way they work is they suppress your liver's ability to produce the cholesterol, something your liver is supposed to be doing. Now, you can lower cholesterol levels a little bit with diet, but the real problem is inflammation, all right? And people are eating the standard American diet, otherwise known as SAD, and that's producing such inflammation in our bodies that the cholesterol always adheres to inflamed tissue. Now, if you get hurt, we got cholesterol floating in our blood vessels right now. After a week, we're going to have more. But what cholesterol does in your bloodstream is it protects you from injury. If you hurt yourself really bad and a blood vessel has been traumatized, okay? If that blood vessel is in danger of leaking or getting hurt, as that blood vessel is hurting, it puts out an inflammatory response. The tissue gets inflamed. Cholesterol migrates right to inflamed tissue. So the cholesterol actually acts like an internal Band-Aid to cover that area until it can heal so you don't bleed a blood vessel. What a concept. God made us that way. Now, we're supposed to have cholesterol, but it goes after inflammation. When you're eating the standard American diet, your whole damn body becomes inflamed. Boy, that's where we're sort of staff's been on me about that. Anyway, you don't want inflammation because if your entire body gets inflamed, guess what? The cholesterol starts adhering everywhere. And that's when they see cholesterol in your heart and the blood vessels and all kinds of places causing strokes, because every time they open you up and do a surgery because you've got a bad heart, they see all this cholesterol, so cholesterol must be the problem. Cholesterol is not the problem, it's inflammation. The cholesterol is supposed to be there. The other downside to these drugs is they cause diabetes. When you take a cholesterol medication, it also inhibits your liver's ability to produce an enzyme called coenzyme Q10. CoQ10, isn't that right? Well, yes, he knows all this stuff. Anyway, CoQ10 is an enzyme that your liver produces to help your body metabolize sugar. So it goes into the cells of the body, goes into the mitochondrial organelles. We'll do intestines later on. and your mitochondria take the CoQ10 and the sugar in your body and they convert it into ATP. Adenosine triphosphate. That is the energy our bodies operate on. We all operate on ATP. We don't operate on sugar. With sugar plus CoQ10 and a few other factors, and there's our energy, okay? But now your liver can't produce CoQ10 because the statin drug prevents that from happening. So now, you get all the sugar floating around your body, but it can't get into the cells to do its work. So it gets stored as fat because your body doesn't know what else to do with it. It's supposed to be getting used up, but it can't. And as you get more weight and more weight and more weight, you end up with diabetes. Now, what I'm telling you came from the Journal of Neurology, May 2002. This is their own research, and the doctors don't read their own stuff. They said, quote unquote, that the use of cholesterol medications increased the rate of diabetes in the human body by somewhere between 1,500 and 4,500%. Now, there's ways of getting around it. And that says you got to go to the vitamin store or wherever and buy CoQ10. You can take it as a supplement to compensate if you really do need that statin drug. But they don't read their own research, so they don't tell people this. The drugs are causing a lot of trouble and they're causing diabetes. So there's your statin drugs, guys. Anyway, if your medical doctor tells you that you got diabetes, what does that mean? It means you got diabetes. You're stuck with it. Now you got to take metformin. And he'll tell you to take some exercise and change your diet a little bit, all right? But less than 20% of the medical schools in this country even teach nutrition. So they really can just give you generalities, all right? And as a result, patients stay diabetic for the rest of their lives. Type 2 diabetes can be reversed. I've done it myself, and I've had patients do it as well. It can be reversed. And once you become diabetic, you know one of the horrible things that comes from diabetes is it produces a 10-fold increase in hardening of the arteries. Anybody ever told you guys that? Diabetes causes a 10-fold increase, 10 times the normal rate, hardening of the arteries. So when you're 70, you got diabetes, you got the blood vessels on the you're on a little time flat. And I love the people that come to my office that have diabetes and smoke. Because smoking increases the rate of plaquing and hardening the arteries by another 10-fold. So you got 100-fold. They're dead at 66 years of age quite often from heart disease and strokes and other things. But they're not telling people about this. So the statin drugs are good if you really got a serious cholesterol problem, but you must supplement with CoQ10, all right? Now, I get the biggest kick out of watching. I go to Charter Fitness. Anybody else go to Charter Fitness besides me? You do. You do? It's a very inexpensive place. It's $10 a month. How can you beat that? But a lot of people don't know what to do when they get there and they're very intimidated, all right? And they see all these really. But you know, I started with that organization 10 years ago. A lot of people look like this now, look like this earlier because they've stayed with me and worked out. But the truth of the matter is the trainers there, we hire trainers that we don't know what we're doing, right? So now they got you doing aerobics and they got you doing cardio and all this stuff and you're running. Thank you. And they don't lose hardly any weight at all. And the reason is it's the wrong exercise. All right? When you're running and you're doing cardio and all these crazy things, you're burning calories while you're doing it. But you're not burning calories the rest of the night. Remember I was talking about losing muscle mass about 1% per year as the testosterone levels drop? This goes for women too. When you've got more muscle mass on your body, you have a more metabolically active tissue and you will burn calories in your sleep. All right? As I was telling you guys, I would go a whole month dieting and jogging, doing all this stuff, and in one weekend I'd gain 3 or 4 pounds. It'd take me another month to lose it all over again. All right? I lift 3-4 days a week, and I don't lift hard and I don't lift heavy. All you really need to do is lift about 35 units 3 times a week, and it doesn't have to be heavy. But what you have to do is get your resistance training and put more muscle back on your body. As you put more muscle back on your body, you become more metabolically active and you burn calories even in your sleep. It happens all day long. Now, if you increase the muscle mass on your body by 1 pound, you're burning an extra 1,500 calories a month. If you put an extra 5 pounds of muscle mass on your body, you're burning about 7,500 calories a month. That comes out to 20 pounds a year, all right? It's not that hard to do, and you don't have to work. Because I see people all the time working, and these trainers are killing these people. These people aren't used to this stuff. And they finally quit. After 10 months, they've lost 5 pounds, and they're sore, and they don't feel good because they didn't get to the root cause of the problem. So, it's not so much working hard as it is working smart. You gotta work smart and do the right thing so your body operates properly. When a patient tells me, oh, I've got to show you guys this one. Isn't that great? I cannot tell you now. This is not happening in my office, but I cannot tell you when I ask patients. So what are you doing for exercise now? They go, I walk the dog. It's not exercise. That's called living. You got to do over and above what your body is used to, and you have to mix these things up. We actually have a lot of fun doing all kinds of different stuff. All right. So earlier somebody said stress, right? Was it you? Brilliant thing, you. Oh, hey, you remember this guy?
Yeah.
It's Jack LaLanne.
Yeah.
He's the guy that invented the jumping jack.
90 years old.
He died at 96 last year, I think it was last year. He got pneumonia. Old man, he's 96 years old. He got pneumonia and he refused all medication. I think if he had taken the penicillin, he might have survived. But maybe he didn't want to, I don't know. This man went to chiropractic school in 1930. He was a doctor of chiropractic. Nobody knows that. He never practiced chiropractic, but he went to chiropractic school and he learned all about the spinal manipulation and all that, but then he got really heavy into the nutritional side. This man was nothing short of amazing. A lot of people thought he was crazy. But this is him in his 80s. The middle picture is that man was 80-some years of age. And he was in his early 90s and that went up there. It's amazing. And you know what? Lifestyle. Diet and lifestyle. Remember I was talking about purpose in life? What's your purpose in life? Boy, that was my life. That'd be my purpose in life. How would I This is just a mom and a child I know. They're friends of mine. But you know, these people, we love them. But if we don't have our health, we can't be there for them. I used to work as an orderly in the old McHenry Hospital 1,000 years ago. And I'd be watching these people going into comatose at the age of 70 because they smoked their whole life. And I'd watch the grandchildren coming up and holding on to them and crying like crazy because they were watching Grandpa die. And as I got older, then I went into practice, I would express this story to people, and I get a little emotional every time I do it. And I say, if you continue smoking, you're going to be dead. This one guy, he had his whole throat opened up, and he still had the tube sticking out. He lost everything inside because of the cancer, and it was all in his lungs now too. And back then, in 1971, 1972, when I was an orderly in the hospital, nurses would say, hey, listen, Mr. So-and-so wants a cigarette. Go ahead, you just have to hold it to us.
Poor guy.
And the family and the grandchildren got to watch this man die slowly because that's how important those cigarettes were, okay? Anyway, let's talk about stress. Chemical stressors, emotional stressors, physical stressors, all right? Let's talk about chemical stressors, all right? There's chemicals in some of the things we drink. Coffee is big. We've got chemical stressors, artificial sweeteners, horrible stressors to the body with chemicals. Aspartame turns into partly a chemical very similar to formaldehyde when it goes into our intestines. Then it slows our intestines way down. So while it doesn't have sugar in it, what it does do is it slows your intestines down, so everything you eat, you absorb 10 times more of it. I've yet to meet a person on Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke that's thin. My mother lived on lean cuisine and Diet Pepsi, and she died 130 pounds overweight. Okay? So this is also near and dear to my heart about this stuff. And when you're eating these foods, your coffee gets your adrenal glands going. Your adrenal glands start pumping too much cortisol in the system. The cortisol attacks your brain. It attacks the thyroid gland. Genetically modified foods. Wheat's the big one I've got a real problem with now, because wheat is attacking people's thyroid glands. So here's what we do with this. We got to get you to detox. When we get people better again, the first thing we do is we detox. You might have the best engine in the world, but if your filters are all plugged, nothing's going to happen. All right? We got to get people detox for 3 to 5 days, sometimes longer, most of the time it's 3 to 5 days. And we get their body detox first, and then we get good nutrition in them. And you know, it's amazing, with emotional stress, it's amazing how much better you can handle emotional stress when you have your health. When you've got all these other stressors going on. What's food for? Promotional life. It helps us, our body regenerate. As I'm standing here, I'm about 70 trillion cells plus or minus. And if I don't move from this spot and I stay here for the next year, in a year from now, I will not be the same person. Well, maybe mentally I will be, but the point here is every cell in my body will have been replaced. Okay? So, we're telling people when you're eating, you gotta eat the stuff from the ground, the food that comes from the ground. If it came from a factory type of a plant, you don't want it. If it came from the ground as a plant, you do it, all right? If you want protein and meat, you eat the animal that ate those foods that came from the ground, all right? It all has to come from the ground because that's the way our systems are built. Factory food is just really, really bad. So we have choices. And our choices are eat the right foods and quit eating the convenience foods because they are really, really bad. Does a coffee and donut fit that? Okay, you wake up in the morning, what'd you have for breakfast? Oh, I had a donut and a cup of coffee. Okay, you might get 15 minutes of energy from sugar in that donut, but that's really bad stuff. Morning should be protein and fruit, and the rest of the day should be protein and vegetables. So a real food from the ground, if you take identical twins and you put one on a 1,200 calorie a day diet with the standard American diet, and you take another person on 2,000 calories a day and they have to eat real food, the person that's eating the real food will lose weight over the other one every time, and the one that's only on 1,200 calories a day will gain weight. I have people coming from the office all the time, and they hardly eat anything, and they can't lose an ounce because they're just eating the wrong foods. So we need foods to regenerate our bodies or it doesn't keep going, all right? And cheap vitamins. We're running out of time, so I can't get into this because I was going to. Cheap supplements. You get what you pay for, guys. If you buy cheap supplements from Walmart, they just got written up by the third time by the FDA. Because they're not, what they're saying is on the bottle is not in the supplement, okay? So in our office, when we're treating people, we use nutraceuticals. Nutraceuticals are combinations of herbs and vitamins mixed together to produce a reaction in the body to get their bodies to heal. And the great thing is, when they're healed, they don't have to take them anymore. They're done, okay? I think I was liver. Because I used to drink too much as well. So what type are you? I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. I'm not going to spend any time on that. Now, there are 5 pillars to health, or triangles in this situation. But the 5 pillars to health are balancing the hormones. You balance the hormones, get the patient fit, you detox them first, you get them in good nutrition, you balance the hormones, you make sure their nervous system's right, because guess what? Your nervous system controls every function of your body. All right? It doesn't happen any other way. However, what we do is not cookie cutter. We don't do the same thing ever because every person's unique. So we will alter this according to the patient's needs. Now in our office, we teach much like a college curriculum, only it's a wellness curriculum. And you're going to hear classes, and you're going to hear all kinds of classes. We have exercise classes, we have cooking classes, we have nutrition classes. We're covering everything, all right? And it's really important. There's no way of cheating yourself out of one of these pillars of health. If you want to learn how to fly an airplane, if you read the book, you think you can fly the plane. All right, so now if you read the book and then you go to the classes, you think you can get in the plane and start flying it? You'll know more about the plane, you ain't gonna fly it. So now you go read the book, you take the classes, now you sit in the cockpit and touch all the controls. You think you can fly that plane? Now you might get it off the ground for a while, but it's gonna come back way too hard and fast. So what you need is you need that instructor. He's sitting right next to you. You've got the lessons, you've got the knowledge, but you can't do it unless you got that instructor that's right next to you to tell you what to do. All right? And this is what we're all about. We have 5 pillars of health that we do all these things, but you have to have a good mentor and instructor. All right? Tell me and I may remember, show me and I will remember, involve me, I will understand. So, now you've got more knowledge. You've got the knowledge, and that's good, but unless you act upon it, it's not going to do you any good. All right? Now, I have a question. Why did it take me to invite you guys here to hear this information and get you empowered so you know the difference, you know the truth? All right? Your medical doctors didn't do it, did they? All right? Because most of them don't even know it. Or they don't have the time, all right? But you didn't hear this from your medical doctor, you just heard this with Dr. Barth. Now, if you decide that you want to come to my office to do a consultation and a workup exam, my typical fee for this is about $287. But because you guys came to this tonight, we typically knock off $200. So, if I feel it's necessary, the right thing to do, because you spent some time there. I've already spent an hour with you just about. And I'm not really getting reimbursed all that well with $87, to be perfectly honest with you, but I want you to put financial skin in the game. All right? If I offer it for free, you're not going to take it serious. But I don't want to be a financial barrier between us making it $287. So the bottom line is, I can probably help you. Do I help everybody? No. I don't help everybody. Only the ones that do the things I ask them to do and not do the things I ask them not to do. If you take responsibility and do the things we ask you, I have a 100% success rate with Crohn's. Nobody's getting 100% success rate with Crohn's. You know why? They're not using common sense, they're not getting to the root cause of the problem. But when I have a patient that says, you want to give her this, it's ruining my life, they come in, they do the things I ask them to do, it works every time. Now, if you decide to do this, I expect your spouse or significant other to be there too. All right? You need the support. And by that spouse or significant other showing up with you, that says, I'm supporting you. And that's something you need to fulfill. You need that person, you need the support, you need that. They hear what I'm saying to give you this, the reinforcement. Okay? Now, here's what we're doing. When you come to my office, we will sit down toes to toes, knee to knee, nose to nose, and we're going to talk a lot. How much is it going to take? How much time will it take? As much as it takes. Okay? And we will spend as much time as you need. And we'll also go over, if you decide you want to do this, we have file folders that are going to go to you, and you have a bunch of papers to fill out for me. And we'll go over all that. If you come to my office, bring me labs that have all been taken on you in the last year. All right? Because those are really good, and they'll save you a lot of money, and I can help you with that a lot. All right? Now, do we have payment options? Yes, we have all kinds of payment options. Okay. Many of our patients are retired or on fixed incomes, and they're able to afford this, all right? So when you come to my office, we're going to work really hard with you, but you have to work as hard as I do, and I can help you, absolutely. What else do I want to say? Here's the catch. This is my last point. It's the people that are willing to change and be accountable are the ones that I can help. Because when they are accountable and they're willing to change, their bodies are going to change, and they're going to have the power to heal themselves. It doesn't go any other way. If you want to get to the root cause of the problem and get these problems resolved, you've got to suck it up and do that. All right? Now, is it affordable? Yes, it's affordable. Like I said, can I fix everybody? Only the people that are really serious want to take responsibility for this, okay? I lost myself there. And finally, like I said, if you do the things we ask you to do, you will make a change. But it's a matter of how much commitment you've got. And we're done. Isn't that great? I think it's time to eat. I'm hungry. I want to work. All right.